Hello and welcome back to the garage. In today's video, we're going to be doing some repair work to the '64 Volkswagen Baja Bug. This Volkswagen was featured on our Will It Run playlist, and during that video, there's a little bit of a problem with it popping out of gear. Now, I do suggest you go back and watch that video before watching this one, but lo and behold, the transmission mount was damaged. So we're going to go ahead and fix that in this video. So we'll go ahead and remove the motor now. All right, so now that we've got the engine out of the Bug, we can go ahead and begin working on getting that transmission out. So we've got a few things to take off. I'm going to take the wheels off just so I have a little bit more room to maneuver in there. The brake lines, shocks, clutch cable, and the shift linkage. So while I'm doing that, go ahead and grab some popcorn and here's some nice music. So I went ahead and just soaked everything with some penetrating oil. We'll let that sit for a little bit and then start working at besting everything free. Alright, so we gotta undo that, and these bolts over here on the axle, and the big bolts on the front here, and we can rock the transmission forward. We might not necessarily have to take it all the way out, but we will have to remove these bolts here so that we've got more movement on the transmission, and we might be able to wiggle that transmission mount out if we're lucky. Now with the transmission bolts removed, I'm going to roll under there with the pry bar and try to wiggle the transmission a little bit to get that transmission mount to come out. While I'm doing that, here is an antique truck show from a weekend past that I want you guys to check out. We'll meet back here at the garage here in a few minutes. So we're out here at the Fort Walla Walla truck show, and we're going to go through and look at all these cool rides they've got sitting out here. We've got semi-trucks, Willys Jeeps, military trucks, even some classic cars. So we're going to go ahead and walk through them all and enjoy. So the first truck here has the USS Enterprise VIN tag on it. That's funny, but it is just a wonderful looking service truck here. Looks like it might be a weld truck or just a general all-around service truck with a nice crane on the back. Great vintage rig. That NCC 1701, that's pretty funny. But there's all kinds of trucks and cars out here. There might be some we recognize from time to time. Let's go ahead and walk over here and check out some of these trucks. To go walk over and look at that. Here's a vintage beauty. It's got all of its little pieces of equipment on it. One day at the garage we'll pick up one of these, but for now we just get to enjoy them. Here's a homemade jobber. That's kind of like our buggy we've got here. We've got quite a deal going on over here. This looks like a little washing machine engine. So I just got done chatting with the guy on this fire truck here, and he still uses it to this day. This is, you don't see many of these Lodestars out here anymore, but he uses this on the farm. It's a water truck. It's got the nice big old wheels that you got out there in the field and all kinds of nice stuff. But he says it all works. It's got 6,000 miles on it, original miles. So this thing is basically brand new. Very nice rig. Got a white Freightliner pulling a white Freightliner. This one here looks like it might be a parts rig though. But if anybody's curious on what these trucks look like underneath here, there you go. Love those stacks, those high ones there. Cut off at the top. At least I think it's got a Cummins in it. Might have better. Here's another homemade jobber here. $1948. I don't know, this might be something you could purchase. Great little machine. Over here we got a couple classic cars, another fire truck. Looks like this one might be from District 3. But, well, it looks like Spokane. Oh, it's even still got its original motor in it. 1945 Chevy fire truck. you guys enjoyed that antique truck show. There was some trucks there that you just don't see every day. And while you guys were away, I was able to get that transmission mount removed from the Volkswagen without removing the transmission. And when I removed it, it came out in two parts. The rubber had completely separated from the metal bracket. This is definitely the reason for our popping in and out of gear. So we've got a brand new one sitting inside the Bug that we're going to go ahead and throw in there the same way we took this one out. So we'll go ahead and run you through that now. So I'm going to explain to you guys what I mean by moving the transmission to get the transmission mount out. What I've drawn here is a rough sketch of what is underneath the Volkswagen. We've got the transmission, the horseshoes that the transmission mounts bolt to, and then our Volkswagen pan. So by removing these front transmission bolts, I was able to get the front transmission mount to move, allowing me to shove this pry bar, or this pickle fork, into this space here behind the transmission on the cone to pry forward the transmission, rolling on its axle tubes on the horseshoe, but still securing it so it didn't come out. But it allowed me enough space to drop the transmission mount out of this space here past its studs. And what I'm talking about stud-wise are these little guys right here. It had to be enough room, because once when you get these bolts out, there's nothing you have to worry about on that end except for this. But once you get it to move out far enough to be able to drop that end down and shimmy it out. So it left me a space about that much in there. And it moves quite a bit. It was not surprising, but I was like, yeah! Anyway, this is the style transmission mount that was in the Volkswagen. It's got this hard collar on it. It's metal coated in rubber. And you can kind of see the size difference between the two. Obviously, this one might be a little bit longer, but there's quite a bit more wiggle room here than there is on this one. This one's a lot thicker. They both fit into the space the same way. This is just for 69 and up, whereas this is for 68 down to 54. But on the one we had in the Bug, we had to shave off the collar, this piece here, because we couldn't find the original style that's supposed to go in these 64 Bugs. So it worked for the time, but I think that might be one of the reasons why it failed so quickly. Or maybe because we were jumping it, I don't know. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and throw this new transmission mount, the correct transmission mount, back into the Bug the same way we took the old transmission mount out, and hopefully we'll be able to just slide it back in, but we won't know until we're down there. So we're gonna go ahead and go down there and start working at getting this transmission mount bit back in the Bug. All right, so this right here is the space I'm talking about, and we gotta work at getting that more open so that we can fit the transmission mount right up in there. So now you can kind of see how far we're gonna have to move it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my pry bar in here. I might need to grab a longer one. And I'm just gonna start wiggling it away. Now at this point, I've decided that I'm going to put the motor in, but before I can put the motor in, I have to put these brackets on for the rear bumper. I want to make sure that that rear bumper goes on correctly and that I don't have to mess around with it later. So because the back end of this Baja Bug has been damaged a little bit, I have to finagle that rear mount onto the horseshoe right there. As you can see, I'm getting a pry bar in there and moving that metal around to get that bolt back in. Right here, I'm getting that motor lined up so I can go ahead and slide it in. And I wasn't originally going to put the motor in at this point, but we're going to go ahead and just get it done. It's easy, it's simple, unlike any other Bug that would have its skirt. Since the back end's all open, you can just slide it right on in. So the transmission mount is now installed in the Volkswagen, and I went ahead and threw in the motor, but we're not quite ready to take the car out for a spin yet. There's still a few things that need to be buttoned up on it, and then we'll be able to go and drive it around. But you're gonna have to wait for that for the next video. So go back and watch some of our older videos, make sure you like them, subscribe to the channel, and as always, we will see you here in the garage in the next one.